So A Quiet Place Part 2. Holy sh! This was amazing. This was such a phenomenal movie. It was my first time back at the cinema. Me and my partner went, and obviously through lockdown I've missed the cinema a lot. I couldn't have thought of a better movie to go to the cinema for and see on the big screen than this one. It was tremendous. I don't even know where to begin. I'll go with how the movie begun. So it begins with day one of when the monsters arrived. Now what I loved about this was a lot of kind of just continuous, kind of long takes. Don't know the technical term. Which was fantastic. I am a sucker for those kind of shots. It shows just the family, they're out watching the son play baseball, and then obviously the monsters arrive. Just start fucking shit up, really. But it just spends a little more time in this moment. In a lot of movies, when it shows you, day one of something or a flashback, it just does it to serve the narrative moving forward. It will give you like a piece of information that is relevant later on in the movie at modern day. Whereas here, it spent a little longer just enjoying kind of the day one of it and how manic it was. And the thing is, we didn't need it. We already knew the rules of this world from the first movie. So I thought it was a really interesting but really good choice that it done this. And well, we got to see, John Krasinski. I'll never complain when I get to see his face. And then it cuts straight to where the first film ended. It just picks up from there. Again, a fantastic choice. I love movies that do this, like sequels that do this. It just picks up because you can watch them back to back. It feels like they should be watched back to back now. Where this film is different is, so the family, obviously now down to 3, but now know the monster's weakness, are kind of moving forward. They need to get out of the kind of hut or the community that they built for themselves and move on into the world. And they come across Cillian Murphy, who is phenomenal in here. He's in the opening intro, and this is one thing I was thinking throughout the movie, and it's referenced obviously, and it kind of shows maybe how he came to this point, is his kind of attitude and his nature. He's lost his wife and child. His child long ago and his wife just recently in the film's narrative. In the very opening, him and John Krasinski are sitting watching the baseball game together. So they're both, the way I see it, was they're the exact same position in their life at that moment, and then simply due to circumstance, it just shows the differences that they can take and make people go. Because throughout the whole of The Quiet Place, John Krasinski was still just the loving father, ready to help anyone. I don't imagine he would have turned someone away. Whereas here, Cillian Murphy's lost his family and is not wanting to help. He's very reluctant to do so. What ends up happening here is I'm bad with names, so Emily Blunt, say the mum, son, the daughter are here, and they hear a radio message play. The daughter realises that there's survivors out here. She kind of puts 2 and 2 together, works out the song that's playing is a kind of clue to a location, and she sets off to go there. Emily Blunt finds out about this and asks Cillian Murphy to go after her, make sure she's okay, try and bring her home. So now the film just splits off into 2 groups. You're either following the mum and the son, or Cillian Murphy and the daughter on their stories. Very different, where one is constantly expanding with the daughter and Cillian Murphy as they're moving across country and trying to find this location, and then you come back into the claustrophobic area of Emily Blunt and the son. More so the son, because he doesn't really leave the kind of setup that Cillian Murphy's made. He's kind of set shelter in a kind of an abandoned warehouse. The son doesn't leave here, as far as I remember, once they get in there, because he needs to care for the newborn, whereas Emily Blunt might go out, try and get a few supplies. It shows that Emily Blunt, she's a fighter, she's a clever mum, a great parent. She's will put herself in some danger to help out her children, and she's a total badass, but in like a believable way, which is awesome. And then of course you've got the daughter, who, and the sound design of the first movie was great, and it's just as good here, where at periods in the movie it will cut to what they call is it's kind of her envelope, where a lot of the sound is muffled, it's quietened down to hear it from her perspective, and that adds a lot of tension. Quick detour from the movie, I'll come back in 2 seconds. Genuinely, when I was at the cinema, we went to a quieter cinema anyway. There was about 7 of us there, including us. There was 3 groups of 2, and then 1 woman on her own in the row behind us. There was moments in the movie where I was just having my popcorn as quietly as I could, but the movie, when it's playing, there's some noise, there's some ambient, there's people kind of moving around, rustling and talking, that's fine. And you'd kind of munch then quietly. But when it cut to the daughter, and it's just all shut off. There was a moment I had popcorn in my hand, ready to eat it, and then just put it back in the bag and waited a few minutes, and I'm pretty sure there's another couple that done the same. But this woman behind us had her phone on loud that went off in this moment, and she didn't stop eating for fucking anyone. She was just munching. I don't know what they sold that was that loud, but she was fucking chowing it down. If you're going to eat, that's fine, but at least the moment the movie's trying to make a point that it should be super quiet, and she doesn't stop. Anyway, rant over, back to the movie. One thing they've done here, which I really enjoyed, was the kind of similarities in the two setups. An example we'll use right at the start of the movie is, you know, in the kind of flashback was, you know, John Krasinski and the daughter are in one car, and then the mother and son are in another car, and this is one of those moments it cuts to her kind of envelope, the daughter's envelope, and you can't hear, and he turns on the radio, and you can kind of see kind of a little bit of reaction to the radio and hearing what's going on, but you don't know what's being said. Then it cuts to the mum, who's also reacting, and the radio picks in where she's at, and now we know what's been said, and it kind of, you think back and you understand what they were reacting to also. It's very cleverly used a few times in the movie where the son and daughter, in their own locations, are ready to fight, effectively. And it doesn't show one fight scene then back up by another fight scene, they take place at the same time, so you only really see one make the kill shot, but then you see the other one with the aftermath of the kill shot, because they were both, you know, they're both successful. It was really, really good. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. The time didn't, you know, the movie didn't waste time, it just got on with it and it showed you these people fighting. Another thing is how tense I got for like everyday objects. There's moments where they'll be moving around and maybe they're about to step on something, or maybe they're about to pick something up, and you suddenly are just conscious of everything in the movie that you wouldn't in any other film be conscious of. You know, there was a teacup, there was a pencil, some papers, and you're just panicking thinking these people are going to like step on it, knock it over, and the monster's going to come running, and didn't think I would get that much tense, you know, and that much fear over a coffee cup, but it was done so well. Another thing that I really enjoyed is I feel this movie owned and definitely deserved its jump scares, because there was plenty of opportunities in this movie where they could have had a jump scare so easily and it would have been an effective one. I would have definitely shit myself, but it didn't. You know, times where it's even in the daughter's envelope and a character returns to her, character comes up to her, they could have done that cliche, you know, hand on the shoulder thing, and then the main character just panics and jumps around, but they didn't. The character just slowly walked up to them, you know, so when you're watching it, it's just a calm and kind of a happier moment that they've reappeared. So when a jump scare happens, there's a few in the movie, it feels earned. It feels like, okay, they've taken opportunities to have them and missed plenty more opportunities where they could have had them, and I'm okay with that. I really don't want to be saying too much about the plot, other than they've literally expanded on a key point of the first movie, which is always what makes a good sequel. The film just kind of ends similar to the first one, in the basement, you know, with Emily Blunt. She kills, they realise they can kill it, and she kills it, and then the movie just ends, cuts to black. And in here, the monsters are more scary than the first one, because where in the first one it was their home base and their home setup that they were worried and scared that a monster was going to come into. You've got both stories playing out now, so you've got Emily Blunt and her son scared that a monster is going to come into their space, but then it'll cut to the daughter, and it's not an even split. The daughter's story and Cillian Murphy's story must be about a 70% to 30% ratio, which isn't a criticism. She's tremendous. Every single actor in this movie is phenomenal, especially the kids. You know, the actors, I think when you see an actor who is, you know, a younger actor who's fantastic, it stands out more. But she absolutely fucking kills it in this movie, which is fantastic to see. And it's not preachy. It's something I was kind of worried for. Yes, she's deaf, and it fits the narrative really well, and it drives the story. It adds that layer of sound design to something to kind of play with and work with and make unique. And they do that well, but they don't get preachy with it, nor do they patronise her. She's just, you know, awesome. She's there. She's, you know, ready for a fight as much as she is ready to run. And in either case, you're not screaming at the screen telling her not to do the thing, because both make sense for the situation. She's just a clever character. Yeah, she's deaf, but that's not played on. It doesn't make her who she is what I'm trying to say. It's really good to see, because they could have just leaned on this for most of the movie. It would have been good, exciting, thrilling, certainly when the movie comes quieter, but they don't. And she walks out of this like a really, well-rounded character. They all do. I fucking enjoyed this movie. I don't have any kind of rating systems, but if I were to give this a finishing line, I would be saying make time for this movie. If you have not seen it yet, make the time for it. They are my thoughts on A Quiet Place Part 2. Look, if you've seen the movie and you agree with what I say or disagree, please do let me know. And if you can, and be so kind, leave a like on this video as well, because that always helps and puts a smile on my face as well. Thanks for watching.